glad that we have that space. It's more comfortable in the classroom. Yeah. Are you allowed to observe them when they're doing it? Because we have that observation room, you know. Behind that screen, there's a bench and chairs, and we just sit in there and observe.
Tabs. I got this. Oh, these are supposed to be moving tabs.
Yeah. Are you going to do it again this semester? Oh, good. Okay. Well, I'll show you. Of course, the rest of the lot, just let me know.
Or at least that's Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's why we have it. Yeah. And when I had bigger classes, I used to observe their serving, but it's been a while. So, Reese's calendar is so full. I mean, but she does orchestra and Girl Scouts and band and twirling, Model UN, and Monette. So, I told Scott yesterday, I said, we've been holding out getting ourselves a roller coaster. And I was like, we're going to have to get her a flip phone so I can just at least keep up where she with her, yeah. Because her schedule is really complicated, so.
Some of them a couple of months.
No, she's older. She's in 7th grade. Okay. The littler one is doing just naturally, Girl Scouts, violin, and that's it. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. With it being 8:30 and us having a quorum, we'll go ahead and we'll get this call this meeting to order and get started. First thing on the agenda is to approve the minutes from the September meeting. Need a motion.
I move that we accept the minutes.
Have a motion, a second.
Second.
And all in favor of approving the minutes from September meeting, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good. Go to the next one. Financials, Miss Bartlett. Well,
So you'll be on the
just shout. Yeah, it's.
I really
Yeah.
don't like this kind of stuff.
It's a little
Do y'all
much.
have a copy of the financials in your book? Okay. If you will notice, this is the final statement for last fiscal year. So the final column, 12 out of 12, 100% is where we should be. Several of the items you'll notice are over 100%. Several of them, and the larger ones, are because they are sales items and they're associated, the associated cost with them. Is this not? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I was just making sure this is being recorded. This is. We are. Okay.
The sales items and their associated cost items being higher just means we sold more stuff, and that's not a bad thing. We have to buy more stuff to sell more stuff, so both ends of that go over. Things like the bricks and our merchandise, like T-shirts and books and things like that, is what that is. Several of the other things that are over 100% are very small parts of the overall budget, like 350 doesn't really impact our budget hugely. Overall, income exceeded the budget slightly and expenses came slightly under budget, which both things ought to be really great, except that we still show a loss, and I use that term loosely, of $43,000 because we put in our budget that we had to borrow from reserves, which we did. We only borrowed $80,000 of the $87,500 that was projected in the budget. And most of that is in the bank right now because we need cash flow to keep going. A few of the other expenses that are over were unanticipated items or mostly things that need to be reclassified. We had struggles with computer software, for example, that's charged monthly or annually. Is it a dues, subscriptions, computer software? it was kind of not always in the right categories, and we now have a better handle on exactly what we've got, and the budget for next year has been adjusted accordingly. I think we will come out a lot better. Overall, of course, we're fine, so, the personnel changes with Stephanie leaving may change some of this dynamics in next year's budget, but, we don't actually know what yet and how that's gonna come. So, are there any questions?
No, have any questions? Nope. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right. Let's talk about the Visit NAC app. Ms. Morgan.
We are in the final phases of honing up the design phase of it. I've got a trial version on both my iPad and on my Android, so I've been making sure that it's functional, so we should be good to launch by the end of October. And we plan to do a media release and awareness campaign so that people know about it. And I found some deeply discounted, like $80 refurbished iPads, and with some desk stands, I think we can get 2 iPads for the front desk on a secure stand. That'll help Mike navigate the app for visitors that come in. And then we've always had a standing iPad stand, but that iPad died. So with some creative purchasing, we can have a more digital component, and we really are excited about the functionality of the tours that we can curate in-house. It'll allow us to do concierge-type tours, so like the Texas forestry people that are here right now, we could put together a specific tour just for them so that then they can pass out the download information for the app and send people to the places that are specific to that group, and then we can take it away. And then also maintain static tours such as the statue tour, barn quilt tour, things like that. So we're excited.
Is it both for Android and the iPhone?
Yes.
Is there any way that we could download it and test it before it launches, or is that only like a one-person thing?
I don't know why it would be. I can check with Visit Widget and see. You have to download it's called Test Flight, that allows you to download the app and scroll around. Right now what we're doing is making sure that default images for like parks, that those images aren't coming up with just our logo, so that we have fresh content on every page. And it's going to be a real game changer for us because it has audio and video capabilities to it. It'll help us tell our stories. But I will check on getting access to you guys, and I can send you an email with directions.
Excellent.
Good.
That's awesome.
Any questions on the app? Very good. And next is the Texas Music Friendly designation.
Thank you to those who showed up at our community celebration a few weeks back. We now are just officially music friendly. And we are utilizing that branding now and reaching out to venues and artists. And coming up here in the next week or so, in the homecoming parade for SFA, we're going to have a float. It's going to be Joanna's truck. But we have some magnetized car signs with the Texas Music Friendly Nacogdoches emblem on one side, and we have a NAC for that on another. And the Seats for Beats chairs will be in the back of the truck, and we're working on some kind of CD that we can play of local bands, just an awareness kind of thing, and just another way to engage with our community partner SFA. I'd like to turn it over to Joanna for any. Did you have anything additional for the music friendly check-in?
Yeah, here, do you want me to just talk about what's happening all over, or?
Yeah, sure.
So this is different from what she's talking about. Well, you're going to have this on one side, right?
Yes, that's on.
Okay. And then we're going to have these. We got a really good idea for one of our members on the committee to create some stickers so we could have them in places of business as well as venues and stuff like that. And with that, we're going to offer T-shirts with one of just a really cool graphic we're designing, and on the back of it, we're going to have listed like concerts, the venues that are participating, but with Nacogdoches, Texas, on every other line, so it'll really explode. And with that, we're going to ask for a little kachunga so we can help fundraise for our committee, and we'll have that moving forward. We had a great meeting in addition to that since the big party. You were there, of course, but we stayed later, and at downtown at the Bonita Creek, they had Parker McCollum. This guy's big, the whole band very cute. But we were able to get on stage, and I got to tell you, I felt like I was in a rock and roll movie. I never knew that place could get so crowded and so full. But it was a blast, and we've got great footage. We hadn't gotten it yet, but we did have someone video it. I think you guys recommended that. And so we'll have that shortly. And we've gotten together as a group again. We've got some short-term goals, which of course is the shirt and the sticker, just to build awareness. Long-term with this group is, seeing how we can help some of the musicians as much as, looking at getting them health insurance, but that'll all be through Austin and taking advantage of the Texas Friendly Office and how this can, really build, have legs, and stay relevant in our community. So that's it. Any questions? Yeah.
We had talked about this kind of going into the event, and I just wanted to see if it's something that I could get on y'all's radar. I know you're really busy, but I'm going to try and dig through the archives and find some key dates when there have been big shows in Nacogdoches, and so that we can register how much, and we can look and see if we can compare those dates to, overnight stays in Nacogdoches. And we can see, we may not find that it's moving the dial at all, but if it is moving the dial, then we can use that because, oftentimes, people want to do events, musical events, and they approach the different entities in the community that can help them or give them permission or enable them to do it. And what I've heard, the feedback I've heard from some of those people, promoters, venue owners, bands that are looking to get things started, is that there's no real way for them to demonstrate to the entities that may support them, give them licenses or enable them, that what they're doing is doing anything positive for Nacogdoches. So if I could get some dates of stuff that's gone on that we know maybe had a big turnout, like the Purple Experience, like the Parker McCollum show, and say, hey, wait, that did put heads in beds. So when our promoters and the people that we're trying to help here go to the city council or the county commission or to a private, equity stakeholder that might invest in that event, or to the hotels to try and get deals, they can say, look, we have the data here. The CVB has given us the data that shows that what we're doing with music in Nacogdoches is bringing money into our economy and bringing people to our community. Is that something that's measurable with the software that we have?
Absolutely.
Okay.
A good example coming up, which is Cody Jinks, and it's actually on Saturday night of homecoming. But homecoming kind of wraps up at the end of the day on Saturday, daylight day. So the hotels have, just like the Blueberry Festival, on that Saturday evening, we seem to have some openings at the hotels, just like this weekend coming up. So we'll be able to utilize and see how Cody Jinks, because that's, I promise you, more of a reach coming in. The Parker McCollum was much more of a college gig.
That's what I
It was
heard,
on
was
on
college
Thursday,
gigs.
but this is a Saturday event. So
Cool.
yeah, we'll be able to, and we're already working the deals with the hotels with everything that happens at the expo. So we'll be able to tell.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
That sounds like a good research project for a tourism student.
Yeah,
So-
that would be
so maybe you
great.
could get someone to partner with you because our students are looking for opportunities like
Okay,
that.
perfect. Yeah. All right. All right. Thanks.
Awesome, thank you. All right, then we'll move into staff reports.
That would be me, I guess.
Mike's report is
Don't
in
get
your,
comfortable.
in your board book.
Okay, well, if you don't know, we've got a lot of Texas Forestry folks here. John knows, of course, 400 plus strong at the hotel. They have completely taken over the Fredonia and also several of the bed and breakfast downtown. We are slowly but surely getting a feel of who these individuals are that own some of the B&Bs that aren't on our, current list. And part of that is so we can get to know them and have a conversation with them as far as letting special groups know that they're available down here, and it beyond the Airbnb apps and online, because that information obviously isn't readily available to you. You have to go on and actually submit and then hijack them in notes to say, hey, I'm not really wanting your place, but can I know your name? So anyway, it's currently, I've got some numbers as far as the effect of the Texas Forestry Association here. They're bringing in over 150,000 direct sales to our community. We had a full day of spouse events yesterday. We brought them over, we brought them through downtown. They had breakfast at Gall's. They landed over at our place. Downstairs we had the Peacemakers pottery come in, and we did a bunch of stuff down there. It was a lot of fun. We had music, and afterwards they went out and we had food trucks available for them to eat at. So that was a whole lot of fun. We actually had a couple of them come back in and thank us very much for that. So there were some from Lufkin, but they'd never experienced Nacogdoches this way, so they were very appreciative, and we were happy they were with us. So that was a lot of fun. This week, of course, is homecoming, and the following week we have a very large group that came in from our FAM tour last year, which is the SWOMA, S-W-O-M-A. Can't tell you what the acronym stands for, but it does have to do with the Association for Assisting Blind People. And they too are taking over the hotel. We've got extra rooms at the Hampton for them. They will be here for the Day of the Dead weekend, and will be taking, as one of their activities, will be going to the actual festival that day. So we're really happy about that. And then the other thing, I think you've gotten your invitations for the Texas Tourism. Oh, well, you have. You'll be surprised with an invite. On Tuesday evening, October 29th, we're welcoming 22 TTIA folks to come in. Again, I think I'd mentioned before, this is our first time in 9 years. We're going to host them and have a dinner, and at the Old Tobacco Warehouse. It starts at 5:45. We'd love for you to come. There's also an opportunity for y'all to come the next morning, crack of dawn. Breakfast at 7:15. Travis Clardy will be there. Jim Jeffers will be there. And, of course, you guys, if you'd like. And from there, they're going to jump on a bus and do a quick tour around Nacogdoches and then leave out from there. But that evening, we've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 10 different restaurants that will be serving different. It's going to be a very full dinner, but we've got all kinds of different foods, which will be a whole lot of fun, representing what we have here in Nacogdoches. So we're really excited about that as well. So I think that's it for me. Any questions?
Busy weekend.
Busy.
A couple weekends.
Busy.
coming up. Good.
For the executive report, it's mainly just some housekeeping things. We are moving towards a board book system. So what you have is like 66%. We depended upon interns to do it. We're figuring out as we go. So by next meeting, you'll have actual words on your divider, so it's not such a fun adventure to find things. But it has the bylaws in there, our contract with the city, and there'll be places for agendas and financial reports so that you can have, at the end of the year, sort of a historical piece and a reference piece as well. The other thing that we're moving towards in the front pocket, I stole this idea from Visit the Woodlands, mental footnote. But it's a board meeting takeaway so that when people find out that you're on the CVB board and they say, hey, what's going on? These are just some key topics from our board meeting that give you some answers to those. So this is your board meeting takeaway for today's meeting. It does talk about that travel caravan, the Dias de los Muertos, Texas Forestry Association, the app, et cetera, et cetera. and our current promotions, things that we're promoting. So it's fall foliage, and then instead of focusing our holiday marketing efforts around Nine Flags Christmas celebration, a lot of our imagery was old from a time when there was more money invested in the decorations, and so it didn't really ring authentic. It was something that we were promising people that we can't deliver on. So we've decided to move forward with, Hancock came up with this one ad, and it was so clever, think outside the big box, focusing on our downtown and community independently owned retail options for unique gift giving, because that's another area that we shine. So I hope you find these enjoyable. If y'all, again, I just stole the general idea from Woodlands, but we can make it how it's going to serve you best.
Sherry, do we leave these books here?
Leave the books here. You can take this sheet with you. And I'll put names on them. And
what about our software? And have you got all of our software up and running? And
yes, sir. To my knowledge, everything is we're operational. Our fire system is now updated and compliant, and fire and security are now on a cellular system instead of a pot line, a plain old telephone line. So that is relevant and current and meets modern standards, and will be easier to fix and update. I was told that for not this fiscal year, but the following fiscal year, we'll need to look into replacing the actual smoke detectors. They had a hard time getting those to go off with just their test smoke. But those two are those were original, so since 1996. So it's time for those, but we have plenty of time to work that into the budget. But Stephanie is gone and is doing well in her new position in Friendswood. She's living in League City. We took the opportunity, it was Joanna's suggestion, and it really has increased our efficiency. The new position, replacing Stephanie's the creative content director, will office upstairs with Joanna. The office downstairs that Stephanie habited is now our fulfillment room and copy room. So we have a whole room with shelves. The brochures are organized in bins. They're easy to see. There's actual workspace behind closed doors, so we're not taking up board meeting space or the basement space. And the copier is more accessible to Mike if he needs to copy something for a guest. But kudos to Joanna. That was her idea and her brainchild, and she really made all the efforts to make it happen while Mike was on vacation so he wouldn't fuss at us. So it was a fun time clock, and she did it. So we are ready to rock and roll this new fiscal year. Okay.
Any other questions? Also, we have a copy of the Smith Travel Report. She included,
Oh, yes.
Ms. Morgan included with us, and it's month of September was slightly down 1.7 on the RevPAR, all of that being in occupancy. But year to date, we're still up in this market over 3%, 3.3%, and the 12-month, rolling 12-month is at over, we're at 5%. So still, that's a little blip, but still up for the year, and hopefully we'll continue that here in October. Very busy month. Any questions there? I saw Mike's report was back in here of our visitors for September. Had over 1,000 visitors. We're from New Zealand, Germany, France, Vietnam, the Netherlands, and Montana. So very good. Continues to go well there, as evident the sales have done. There's not any other questions on staff reports, then I'd like to suspend the meeting and go into executive session at this time for personal matters pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.074. So is the best place to sequester over in that?
I've reserved the HR.
Okay, very good. So that's what we shall do. You're welcome to stay if you'd like. Chat amongst yourselves. Share anecdotes.
Tight, huh?
Need bigger chairs.
I will.